I use Kelly 90% of the time. And now it's kind of funny because he will show up at my listings with another agent. I'm like, hey, what are you doing here? It's in fact, one, he was representing my buyers on a property that they bought in Mequon, and they loved them. And then when their own home was being inspected, he shows up. They're like, wait, what are you doing here? Yeah, it happens quite a bit. Anyway, he's going to go over the process and open forum of asking questions. I think this is one of the most, for me personally, in a transaction, once you get that accepted offer, I look back and go, okay, that was the easy part.
Yes.
Now it's negotiating a home inspection. That's where
it gets touchy.
That's where it gets touchy. Things can fall apart. Buyers fall out of love with the house that they were in love with just 2 days ago.
Yep.
Agents on the other side aren't cooperating. I mean, I could go on and on and on. You are putting on your master negotiating skills, and you walk a fine line of, knowing your role and not saying things that you really aren't, qualified to say. And
well, Janine, keep in mind also, before your buyers, especially, well, I don't even want to say especially, but with your new home buyers, with your second home buyers, and your buyers who haven't bought a house in a long time, we have to set them straight even before the inspection, which helps a ton. We are not looking for maintenance items. We are not looking for chipped paint on the corner of the cabinet. We are looking for safety items and defects. That is what is in the offer to purchase that we can, go for. We're not looking for a laundry list of the honey-do list. And tell them that before the inspection, just so everybody's on the same page.
Yeah. And here's Kelly. Hi, Kelly.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey.
Great.
Awesome. Thanks for inviting me today.
Well, thanks for coming on. So tell us about yourself, and I kind of started a little bit, Kelly, but go ahead.
Now, I do have a PowerPoint on my other computer, and that's why there's two Kellys there.
Oh, okay.
Am I able to share that? Do you want it, or?
I think so, yeah, if you can.
Okay, let me.
Hey, Mandy.
1 second here. You guys can keep talking. I'll just.
Keep talking. So typically you will get I usually give 2 home inspectors names when I put a property under contract. And it's basically who can get there first, and with the time that the buyers are looking for. And once those buyers have made that appointment, let them know to tell them to let you know. So then typically you can go in through showing time as if you were scheduling a showing and schedule a home inspection. If you toggle down enough, it's not a showing, it keeps going, appraiser, home inspection, and then I always give 3 hours. It may not be 3 hours, it may be a little bit over 3 hours, but give yourself a good 3 hours for that appointment. And if they're gonna test for radon, well, Kelly will go over that with you. Sometimes he can put the radon in before the inspection. If not, it will be done at the inspection, and they'll have to pick it up 2 days later. But regardless, you should get that home inspection report either that day or the next morning. Once I get the report, I know that my buyers also have it. I read through it, and then I text my buyers and say, okay, we all have the report. let's have an appointment to discuss this. And then I set an appointment on the calendar. And that's all I say. When we do have that appointment in the next day, I literally keep my mouth shut and say, hey, you guys, what are your top concerns here that we need to address? I used to start off like, okay, we need to do this and we should do this. I've learned to shut my mouth, let them tell you what they're concerned about. All right, Kelly, you're on. I can
Right,
see it.
awesome.
Let's talk home inspection.
All right, awesome. Cool. Well, like I said, thanks for having me today, guys. And yeah, I'm Kelly Kuchta with Extensive Home Inspections. And we're going to talk a little bit about home inspection and what we all have to offer. And then I'll just take questions at the end if that's okay. All right. So, yeah, I know my picture isn't the greatest. I look way better than that. So
I didn't even recognize you.
I get it.
You have your glasses on.
I gotta get a little different one. So this is, I'm on the left, Andy is on the right, and we are both owners of Extensive Home Inspections. I started Extensive last April, and then Andy, he's been a home inspector for the last 5 years. He came on board on January, and actually probably within the next week, probably sooner, we're going to be hiring another gentleman. So we'll have 3 people then. We're moving quick and growing fast. So I'm excited about it. And to give you a little background, I'll do real quick. I've been around construction my whole life. My dad was a Finnish carpenter. I'm a first generation American. So my parents were from Germany, and he, the stuff he could do, guys, is phenomenal. And I know some of you probably still do or deal with King Fogel. And then years ago, Fred Miller. My dad used to do all the houses. All right. Now, these are giant houses. These are monster houses that he did and the things that he could do. And I've seen and I've been there. I've seen the houses built from ground up. So, and then after that, growing up, you know, around the construction, in the late 90s and early 2000s, I did a lot of buying and selling homes. So I needed my broker's license. So did a lot of rehabbing, and before you know, the market, you know, the bubble bursted, I kind of seen it and kind of dumped everything. And then I was a realtor for 13 years. So kind of got burnt out doing it. I loved it, but I didn't love it as much as I love doing home inspections. So I think this is a better fit for me. And Andy's been around construction, you know, his last name Builder. So his family's, they've done a lot of different, you know, construction and everything as well. So that's a little bit about us, and I'm going to keep going. So our mission to make real estate transactions smoother and deliver for you and your clients is about professionalism, and it's about service. It's about protection, and we don't make excuses, guys. This is our little tagline, helping people achieve their dreams, and I think I kind of got that, that tagline from my dad. And then we're going to talk a little bit about competitive pricing. So what we have to offer, and I'll touch on that a little bit. I know some of you already know, and maybe you're dealing with that with some other inspectors that do offer what we do, but even what we have with all our warranties that are included, we got very, very competitive pricing. We don't like to price gouge. We're there to, you know, do a good job and not, you know, take, like I said, just price gouging, taking money. So we also give you the same day reports. Now it may be really super late in the night, but you are going to get the same day report. It is going to be electronic form. So when you or your client opens that link that we send you, it will open up as a PDF. Then there's going to be a summary report, and summary reports, and I explain this at inspections, summary reports just mainly for your major issues, defects, and safety issues. Anything beyond that report is going to be your normal maintenance that all of us homeowners have to do. So we really emphasize that to everybody. Now, above the summer report and beyond that summer report, every page on top, you're going to have little tabs. So you'll have a tab like exterior, roofing, insulation, interior, electrical. So let's say you're on the summary page and you want to see that photo or more detail about the electrical. You click on that tab and it'll automatically go to that section instead of you scrolling 20, 30 pages trying to find the darn thing, you know. So I know what you guys have to deal with. So we try and make it a little simple. So these are additional services that we do. One that's on there, we most likely will down the road, and it's well and septic. And with all our services, and right now we don't do well and septic, all right, guys? We want to be a one-stop shop. So that's where we're going to try and grow the company into. So we do termite inspections. As you guys know, VA loans require termite inspections. So we are certified, and yes, we use the correct form for those. And just so you know, if we do the inspection for that VA buyer, we are going to waive that $125 fee for the termite inspection. And if someone calls us, you know, seller or agent, which I've had a lot, you know, hey, Kelly, I need a termite inspection, then that's just going to be $125. Now, we do the radon testing as well. As Janine stated, if you want me to, or if you want us to drop it off sooner, you know, a few days prior to the inspection, we don't have a problem with that. You just have to let us know, you know, and obviously, as you know, we need to have it there for 48 hours. And it's very, very important to make sure that seller knows the doors and windows have to be closed, you know, 12 hours prior to that report. I mean, you know, prior to that inspection. And when we do our monitoring, or you want to call it, I guess, testing, our monitors are all sun nuclears, and they will detect if anybody opened a window, or hey, there was windows were open prior to that. So then I would unfortunately have to redo the test. So then we do sewer camera inspections. I am certified for that. I believe, the third inspector in the state that is certified for that. So if you, and I think, to be honest with you, we were talking, actually yesterday, I was talking to a couple plumbers, and him and I were talking about the sewer laterals, and most people don't understand or know that, hey, you're responsible for that lateral from the house to that main connection.
Mhm.
And we think, you know, 3 to 5 years down the road, this is going to be a normal thing that is going to need to be done for every transaction, just because there's so many issues, especially in Milwaukee. You know, practically everyone that gets scoped, there's something wrong with them. All right. So, so we do that, and our pricing is very competitive compared to if you hire a, you know, plumber. So we send you a video, we send you a report and photos, and then recommendations if there are any. And then we also do mold testing. Now, we do air quality, and we are certified in all the mold testing. We do air quality and then mold sampling if it's necessary. I mean, if there's a little bit, you know, here and there, or, you know, we're just going to suggest, hey, you can just definitely clean that. We're only going to suggest that mold testing if it's really necessary.
Nope, that's all right.
All right, and we'll go to the next slide here. So we're, you know, more than just an inspection. We're an incredible commitment to service, and that's definitely number one. What our inspections include, like I said, is just not an inspection. So here's a little area here where, you know, things that are included, and this is free to all clients that we have. All right. Now we do this for pre-listing and as well as, you know, buyers where they're gonna be purchasing the houses. So we have the 90-day warranty, sewer guard, and I'll go through this in detail a little bit. Mold safe, platinum roof, structural recall check, and then I'll talk a little bit about the 18-month warranty. First is the recall check. As you guys know, this is actually a nice tool I like, and you know, believe it or not, 1 in every 9 homes we inspect has a recall item. And the great thing about this is it is 100%, the repair is free, and they will get notified in an email as well as I will. Hey, you know, there's a recall on, let's say, your refrigerator, and then they can just contact them and then they'll help you through that process, and it's free to them. We got the 90-day warranty. Now, let's say I inspected, you know, I took a look at that kitchen faucet and it wasn't leaking at time inspection. They move in 30 days later, all of a sudden it's leaking. Well, there is coverage for that. And there is no deductible for this because all these warranties are included with the inspection. Now, if you purchase that 12-month or you get that 18-month warranty, which I'll talk to you a little bit, that does have a deductible, but these don't. Another thing I love about 90-day warranties, you know, no longer have to be the bad guy when things go wrong in the home, you know, after an inspection. We take the heat for you guys. So you're not going to get the call. And if you do, hey, direct it to us. We're going to take care of that for you. When I was a agent, I always on every transaction, I thought it was very, very important to have a home warranty because I didn't want that call, you know. Hey, the furnace went or AC, you know, during that first year, they're going to be protected. We always get this question. I always get this question asked, you know, hey, why should we pick you versus, you know, the other guy? And again, it comes down to, you know, competitive pricing and obviously if you like your home inspector, things that I say, hey, are they going to do the structural, you know, inspect it, check the mechanicals, including roof foundation, heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical, attics, you know, so on and so forth. And then I always say, make sure they're backing up their work with the 90-day warranty. All right. Then we talked a little bit about the sewer guard. And majority of all the warranty companies out there do not cover the lateral, and RWS does cover this. Okay, so like I said, we have the warranty and we do the sewer scoping if it's necessary. Now, when it comes to, you know, do I make suggestions or not? One thing that you always want to look for are there big trees. Now in Milwaukee, especially, every house had a tree planted in front of their house at one point. All right, and that wasn't the great thing to do. Another thing is if you're looking at the clean out in the basement, if there's a new cap, well, why is there a new cap? You know, someone had to open it and there had to be an issue at some point. All right. And again, guys, we can't see that lateral, so we don't know. Yesterday, I was in on an inspection. I looked in the floor drain and there's roots and there was no water in it. So I put my hand in there and there was so much debris. And then I looked at the, and this wasn't even a basement. This was a slab on grade house. And I looked at the clean out and there was a rubber cap over it, which was sealed, it's just not the proper one. I opened it, ran the water, and water was coming up. You know, and if I would have never looked at that, I would have never known any of this. And to be honest, when I got certified, I was kind of like freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, how many houses that I probably should have told, you know, through my years of doing the home inspections, long story short, I'm super happy that I am certified in this and more knowledge and can protect and help that, buyer or seller if there's any issues. And, we talked a little bit, tree roots, hidden leaks, again, we can't see that lateral. And another thing that's covered is the water lines. No other warranty company includes that with their coverage, and that's awesome. We do have a roof protection plan, and again, this is all included with their inspection. If it leaks, they can call us, or when the appointment is set up and when after we send the report, they'll get emails stating, hey, if there's an issue, here's a link you can go to. All right. And again, here, we expect it once, and it is covered for 5 years. So I have to deem the roof to be satisfactory. Obviously, if it's in poor condition, or hey, it's nearing its life, it's not going to be really covered. And it doesn't have to be a perfect roof. All right. There just can't be any leaking going on. So they will get protection there for 5 years. Now, before I forget, with these coverages, let's say I did a pre-listing inspection for a seller, okay? Now, with the seller's inspection, the platinum roof actually can transfer to the buyer, the new buyer, okay? As well as this, which I have on the screen, is our structural warranty for $100,000, and that goes for an entire year. So that actually can be transferred to the new buyer. So if you guys have a lot of pre-listing and you suggest, hey, let's do an inspection, so Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you can actually find out what's wrong, and let's just take care of it now before, hey, the buyer's like, no, I don't want to buy the house because this has the issue, and now the seller has more control over it versus now you move forward and you go have a inspection, and the buyer may, like I said, walk or hire their own contractor, and who knows how much that's going to cost. And majority of all our pre-listing inspections, I usually get a phone call, and they just ask me some questions regarding the report, and 9 times out of 10, they're like, Kelly, hey, thanks. You've been very informative. You just saved me $400 or $500 on a home inspection, because your report was very thorough and a lot of information on there. So that's something to think about for pre-listing too. And I'm sorry if I'm going a little too long here. Almost done here. And then structural warranty, like I said, there's $100,000 policy. Now, what the great thing about this is, there is coverage for your structural failures, like in footings, your beams, your girders, foundation systems, your lintels, and now, no, it's not lintels that you eat, guys. Masonry, arches, columns, load-bearing walls, partitions, roof framing, floor systems. That's all, they're going to be coverage for that, all right? Then if we do, let's say we do the inspection for pre-listing or pre-sale, all right? Pre-purchase, I should say. They want the home warranty, which we'll talk about a little bit. That 12-month warranty will be extended to 18 months, all right? Now that goes for a seller or the buyer. Let's say the seller purchases the 12-month, and I did the inspection, it goes to 18 months. Now this could be paid out at closing, and the date would start the day of closing. But during or after I do the inspection and the seller fills out, the form online or gives me a call, and I can just take care of it for them, they're actually protected at that time, and at that time right away, which is awesome. And then when the buyer starts, and I think that goes for any company, warranty company out there, it starts at closing date for the buyer. And then this kind of gives you a little synopsis of, pricing. Now, RWS does go off of square footage, and you can kind of see to the left of the screen there what's included and what's not included in the other companies. All right. Here again, drain line stoppages, and termite treatment. And I don't have this on any of my slides. This is fairly new. And if we do the termite inspection, there is a warranty coverage for that as well, and that's 120 days. So it kind of gives you, like I said, a little more information, what's all included and what's not included in other warranty companies out there. Now, we believe and think, this is the best coverage and easiest ordering process. They have an app. You can do it online. You can go phone. And like I said, I can always take care of that for you or your client as well. We want to just make it simple and easy for everybody. As everybody knows, when it's a buyer or seller, their heads are just swimming with, lots of information. And the less they do, the better. Pre-existing conditions, they are a thing of the past, so there is no thing as pre-existing conditions with these warranties. And another thing I really like about the warranty company, if it comes down to the 90-day or like the 12-month or 18-month warranty, they are 24/7. And I believe it was, I don't know if Ross is on the line, but I believe it was about a month ago, he had some question. It was a weekend. And the CEO of the company seen an email come in from Ross. And he didn't have to answer him. He could have just pawned it off to the next guy on Monday morning, So he went out of his way, did a YouTube video and posted it on Facebook and sent it to Ross. Mm-hmm. Hey, this is what you need to do. And Ross got that information immediately for their client. So they go way above and beyond. And Nathan Thornburg is an awesome guy. And he is the CEO of Residential Warranty Services. And again, exceptional agents look, you guys are all exceptional agents looking for great coverage, and we definitely deliver on all that. And one other thing, home maintenance guide. Now we do have a separate website for this, and there's a 50, do-it-yourself maintenance videos, which is awesome for, new buyers or even, homeowners that have purchased their second or third home. If they want to learn how to do it, there's videos there for them as well. Other than that, that is the end of my presentation. Do you guys have any questions for me? And sorry if that was a little too long.
Kelly, so I'm just thinking out loud here. So by the time we get to the home inspection,
yeah,
that offer has already been negotiated with or without the buyer asking the seller for a home warranty. So okay. How does that work if they have, specified a home warranty and it's been ordered by the listing agent, and now they have the home inspection and they have the opportunity for this home warranty? What does that look like? Because by the time we get the home inspection,
yeah,
like I said, we've already pretty much negotiated whether or not we're going to have a home warranty on that property.
Okay. So, what I'm hearing is there's two circumstances. Either there's a home warranty in place or there isn't, correct?
Right.
Okay. So if there is a home warranty in place and you're stating it's not, residential warranty services.
Right.
Correct? Yeah. So and maybe you can help me here, it depends on, are they willing to possibly look into this? And I'll tell you, it's going to be a little less expensive for that seller if they're paying for it. Okay. So I guess it's just that conversation. Hey, I know we have this home warranty on here. Can we do, an amendment or a counter, whatever you want to do, depending on, even if you have that done or not. But say, hey, we can save you a couple bucks if we transfer it to this company, because now since the buyer hired this inspector, he could get 6 months extension on that 12-month.
Right.
Now let's say there is no home warranty, and there's really nothing wrong, and yeah, maybe the appliances, the mechanicals are old, and you suggest, hey, maybe we should just ask for that home warranty to the seller, and you can do that as well. So I hope.
And that's a good point. Sometimes when I'm negotiating a home inspection, and let's say the AC unit is old, it's near the end of its life, and it's working fine.
Mm-hmm.
We may ask, as part of negotiating that home inspection, you guys, is for a home warranty. I had where I asked for a 2-year home warranty. So it really gave the buyers a sense of relief that if there's something that's going to happen, I'm going to be okay for 2 years. So it is a good negotiation tool to use. I like that. So going back to home inspections, Kelly, when you show up, how often, what is the percentage that you have found? And I know with Keller Williams agents, KW agents are showing up with their buyers at home inspection, maybe not during the height of COVID. But do you see most agents showing up with their buyers when you're inspecting a home?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would have to say probably 90% of the agents are showing up.
Good.
If they, either at the beginning or they stay for a little bit, or, Kelly, I know it's going to take you 2.5 hours. I'll come 2 hours later, and just to let you guys know, we always like to come to the home inspection 30 minutes prior to the appointment time, because the exterior is going to take us a little while. There's a lot of detail to look. We may want to get on that roof or use our drone because we can't see the roof. So just let you know, we're always there, and, we'll knock on the door, ring the doorbell and say, hey, introduce ourselves and say, we're not coming in, we're just doing the exterior. We always wait for the agent to get here before we even step a foot in.
What is, and I know you and I had this conversation, so you may not, I think you'd be comfortable saying it. One of the biggest mistakes that agents do at a home inspection with you. Do you remember? Because I do. And I've seen it. So trying to sway the home inspector and saying that something really isn't an issue when it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, you guys, you can't do that. Right? It's
all right.
A real estate agent is not a qualified inspector, and you can get, as an agent, in a lot of trouble if you say that something is not an issue when it possibly could. So that's why that's why the buyers are hiring a home inspector. That appointment is between the buyer and the home inspector, not the agent, not the seller, unless it's a seller's home inspection.
No.
Be super careful with that, because I have seen it. Again, not a KW agent, but I have seen that. I've seen it right in front of me, agent having a conversation with the buyer saying, really, that's not a big deal. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Can I touch a little bit, just real quick on that?
Yeah.
Right. And I don't want to offend anybody. I'm a pretty black and white person,
Yeah.
when I speak. Now, I was an agent, okay? And I noticed even then there's a lot of I shouldn't say a lot. Let's say a few agents out there. And I'm not specifying a company or individual. I'm just saying, okay? That they care more about the sale than they do their client. And guys, that's wrong. I'm not pointing fingers and telling you guys are those people. To be honest, I'd rather not work with an individual like that. That's not where my heart is. I have a conscience, and I'm getting hired by someone that, I mean, they're spending, it's a lot of money. I mean, this is their biggest investment of their life, and I'm there to help and protect them. I'm giving them my recommendations and putting it on paper, and then we leave it up to you guys how you want to navigate that. Okay. And we emphasize that too. We're not the negotiators. We let that, for the experts. We're just there to let them know, hey, this is what we found today. Now you can further discuss with your agent. So, yeah.
Yeah. So when you start the inspection, you said you start outside, and that does take a while. And then once you get in that home, what does that look like? Where do you start in the house? Upstairs, downstairs?
Yeah. So I always like going into the kitchen first, and once we're finished with the exterior, I'll finish up my notes in the kitchen. Then we usually like to just take a quick peek of the basement, because I looked outside. I already have, hey, I already know, I bet you, that corner, because there's no downspout, I bet you I'm going to find a little moisture in that bottom corner, so we're just there to just take a quick peek. I do the basement last, but we like to start in the kitchen and then work on that level, and then work up second level if there is one, attic, and then we do the basement last.
Okay. And what do you think are the top 3 items that you will call out on a home inspection that seems to be just habitual, that it just, you're always seeing, that you're always making note of?
Yeah, handyman wiring, and as we all know, number 1, grading.
Yes, grading.
Yeah, 99% of homes that we inspect need grading. So we like to emphasize to people, listen, this is a maintenance, unless there's something seriously wrong with that basement, yeah, we all have to deal with it, and just like your sidewalks and your driveways.
Mm-hmm.
Our climate is horrible, and we're dealing with trip hazards all the time, because thawing, freezing, heaving, and, we like to emphasize, and when we talk to the client, especially, I don't think we're big alarmists at all. We're just giving them that information and saying, hey guys, this is normal. Yeah, you know what? It's a trip hazard. I got to put it on the report as one, but we deal with it. I deal with it. It's just a normal thing. So.
So I use Kelly quite a bit, and with any home inspector, you have to have a really great relationship that you feel confident referring your inspector to these buyers that you're working with, because you want thoroughness and you want honesty. What I do like about Kelly is that he will say, this is something that you're going to have to watch and maintain as the years go by. It isn't, you're not an alarmist, but you you call things out as you see them. That's super important. You want somebody that's going to be able to have a honest conversation with the buyers, but not to the point where they're scared to death. Right? That's, you know, I stay out of it. When I'm at a home inspection, typically, and when I was newer, I did follow the home inspector around quite a bit. And I, you know, just watched and learned. But now when I go, I usually say, hey, you guys, this is between you and your inspector. I'm actually going to be sitting at the dining room table. I have work to do, and I bring my laptop. And I converse with Kelly and say, hey, what are any red flags so far? And Kelly will come over and show me some photos that he's taken of some things, and I'll make note of it. But pretty much I stay out of the way. The buyers want to know that you're there, but not necessarily do you need to follow everyone around.
Yep.
How about you, Connie? Is that how you?
Yeah, I definitely attend the inspection and I do the same thing. And, you know, it depends on the buyer. Some buyers really don't care about anything, and others get so uptight about everything. And, you know, as Kelly was saying, we do have some maintenance issues. And why are there so many scratches on the hardwood floor? Can we have them all replaced? No. I mean, sometimes they do ask for some crazy things, but I do the same thing. I come and I get some work done, but I'm definitely there for them. And it's great because the inspector does always say, you know, can you come and look at this? This is something that should really be taken care of, which is great. We did have a couple of questions. What is your cost for an inspection, Kelly?
Great question. So we start at 0 to 1,000 square feet, and
Okay.
the cost of that is $350. And then for every 500 square feet, it's $50 extra. I mean, I'm sorry, $25 extra. So so 0 to 1,000 is $350. 1,001 to 1,500 is $375.
Okay. And then is the price the same for a pre-listing inspection?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Perfect. And what areas do you cover?
I live in Menominee Falls. Andy is actually building a house, and he will be living in Germantown in December. But right now he lives in Erin. And then the next individual is going to be that he lives in our other gentleman that we're going to be hiring. He lives in Germantown. So we go an hour.
Okay.
So like I'm doing a favor for an agent on Saturday. They need a termite inspection ASAP. So I'm going to Twin Lakes, and that's
Okay.
literally an hour, you know, so yeah.
And so when you have a regular home inspection, the termite inspection is included?
For the VA buyer,
Okay.
yes.
For VA, perfect. And how much is a radon inspection?
120 with the inspection and 140 without.
Perfect. Without. Awesome.
Cool.
Do you guys have any questions for Kelly?
I actually have a couple questions. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks.
I've been asked more and more about pre-inspections. How common are pre-inspections? Are you seeing them more often right now?
Yes. And I'm not telling you to do this. What I've noticed, listing agents are paying for them. And I think the reason why they're doing that is maybe that's their way in to get that listing. I don't know.
Okay.
You know, saying,
And-
hey guys, I'll pay for your home inspection, which I think, you know, your pre-listing inspection, which I think is very, very important. And I know no one else will do that. I'm guessing that's what's probably happening, you know?
So
Okay.
asking the crew, why do you think a pre-inspection is so important?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. What?
Asking the whole crew here, why do you think a pre-inspection is important in this market?
Oh my gosh, that's an awesome question. I love questions.
Anybody?
No surprises once the inspection happens.
Correct. And what else?
You
Fix
can
major
waive
things.
possibly.
You could possibly waive the home inspection if you're comfortable with the inspection company that did it. Keep in mind with a lot of these properties, how long are they on the market for?
2 days.
4
Isn't that
hours.
a tight turnaround?
Really, really, it's great for the turnaround. It also sets the expectation for the buyer for that house. So they're more likely to put in a stronger offer because they know what, if anything, is wrong with that house prior to putting their offer in. And, you know, to make it a stronger offer in this marketplace, especially when I went out on showings last night. Oh my gosh, I thought I was at a rock concert at every house. People were waiting in line their turn to go in because they were stacked so tight. I was at a showing 5 minutes early and there was other people waiting there. I said, well, you know, I'm 5 minutes early. Oh, well, we have an inspection at 7 o'clock and we were 7:15. They weren't even in the house until 5 after 7. And then I had to say to the agent, we're 7:15. We need to get in here because I have to stay on track. So everything is really backing up. So to have a pre-inspection is nice to see exactly what's going on with that house prior to putting in your offer.
And
The last,
that is a controversial subject.
Yep.
Because we were doing pre-home inspections a couple of years ago. We were pushing that for our sellers. Until we represented a couple real estate attorneys' homes, and they said absolutely not, which I found very interesting. That because anything that comes up on home inspection, you're going to have different opinions on the home inspection. This is just what we were told. Now you have to disclose everything. And it was the belief of this particular real estate attorney that said, I am not going to be exposing my home inspection report to the public. That if they want to purchase the home and they are interested, they need to write an offer and it needs to be accepted by me before they have a home inspection. It's not a slam dunk. And I don't know how I feel about, I'm just having a conversation about having an agent pay for a pre-home inspection, because what if that pre-home inspection just brought up a lot of issues? And, you know, it's almost like that thought of, I'm going to shoot the messenger. Oh, well, Janine told me to get this home inspection and she's paid for it. And now look what's wrong. And instead of taking ownership of the home, they might be blaming you for what's going on with their house. Just saying. I just talking.
I've seen I've showed 2 houses last week that on their RECR, instead of the homeowner listing everything, all they did was say they put pre-home inspection.
Yeah.
And so then I assume everything that was in that home inspection you can't come back with. But
well, and not only that, what if there were things that didn't show up on the home inspection that they knew about and they didn't disclose?
Right.
No.
All right. So my other question for you, Kelly, is if back to Janine's example where you have an air conditioner that's nearing the end of its life and you have it on there, if the air conditioner dies or the furnace dies 6 months into their home ownership, will that be replaced? Will the air conditioner or the furnace be replaced?
Good question. Now, when it comes to the 12-month or 18-month warrant, and that's what you're talking about, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because it is different from the warranties that are included with the inspection versus the warranty 18-month or 12-month. So there is.
I guess just go ahead and make 4 cups. So fill it up to 4.
I muted her. Okay.
All right, no worries. So there is going to be coverage for that. Now, is it going to be, repaired or replaced? Obviously, that's going to be the determination of that contractor that comes in there. And usually they're going to replace, if it's a replace, they're going to replace it with a similar model, and if they wanted an upgrade, they could, but then it would be an expense for them. And another thing I like about the warranty is you do not have to use their contractor guys. You can contact any contractor that you want.
That's nice.
And you send them, and they send them, let's say you get 2 contractors or just one. Depending on the pricing, they may want a second quote, but they kind of know how much stuff is, but that's the one thing I love, because we used HSA when I was an agent, and we always had to use their crappy contractors. I'm sorry, but I did not like that. I would have preferred to use my own.
So so if my homeowner has an 18-month warranty and the AC or the furnace goes out during that 18 months, the warranty will cover it may not be the best model, but they will cover so that they will have a furnace and air conditioner running with the warranty.
Yes. Yep. There is a $99 deductible. Now you can pay $75 to get a $75 deductible, but I don't know why anybody would, but whatever, there's that option.
And so it's a $99 deductible for every service call that they do? Yes,
correct.
Okay, great. And I'm sorry, I have one more question too.
No, I love it. This is Annie, I love it.
One of the things that is a pain, and I know this is picky, but we get these wonderful reports that usually I have to pick up in Dropbox or I have to pick up somewhere else. And then I have to share this with like the listing agent. And the files are always too big to share.
Huh.
And so how do you give us the report? And do you make the link so that someone else can see the report as well? So I could just send the email that they can gather that link, because there's companies that only I can get the report off the link.
Yep. Yeah, great question. So when we send that email to the client or, the buyer's agent, there is a little tiny link you click on. Now, once you click on that, that report will open up as a PDF file. So
Right.
You can save that as a PDF file.
Right, but they're usually like, 500 megs. I mean, they're usually huge.
Nope.
In my experience,
Yeah.
they've been huge, and I'm not able to send them through regular email.
Yeah. Nope. It's a PDF. You're good.
Yep, I forward his reports all the time.
Great.
Make sure when you are forwarding that report to that listing agent that you have the buyer's permission to do that, because they paid for that report. And I always say, I've never had someone that said no, but I'll say, hey guys, I just want to make sure that I have your permission to forward this report over to the listing agent so they can prepare their sellers for what's coming down the pike. Alex has asked, will drone inspections ever replace roof inspections that you climb up a ladder for? And once you see a foundation has bracing, how do you treat that as an inspector? Or would you recommend an independent foundation inspection? I love it.
Awesome. All right. So drone inspection. So if it is safe to get on that roof, we are going to get on that roof. If it is not safe, we are going to use our drone. And there are particular homes that I'm not even gonna, I pull up and I'm not even gonna get my ladder out because I already know it's not safe, all right? So if there is an opportunity, we're definitely getting on there, all right? So our drones are 4K. I can do video, we can do photographs, we can get as close as possible. And I love them, especially for chimneys. As you guys know, chimneys can be super expensive. And we want someone to get up there instead of, hey, you know, hire a contractor, you know, we don't know what that chimney looks like, you know, we want to know right away. So hopefully that answered your question. Now with bracing on a property in the basement.
Could I just jump in on that? I was just trying to figure out, are there things that you can tell by climbing up that you wouldn't be able to see from a drone? Like determine how mushy the roof is or whatever?
Yeah, that's a good question. Now, I believe if, you know, if there's like any sagging, I'm going to be able to see. If it's mushy, I'm going to see that in the attic. All right. And usually it could be, hey, there's some moisture in there, or plywood's a good one where it just doesn't hold up through time. Or the H clips, there was no H clips on it. And of course that area is going to be a little spongy. So I think the roof and the attic correlate together. And to answer your question, visually, I think it would be, you're going to see a little bit more on a roof if you're there, you know, right next to it. You can touch it, you can feel it, versus the drone. But some of these houses, you can't get your ladder up there, and it's just not safe. Or hey, the shingles are just so worn, if you put 1 foot on there, you're sliding right down, you know. So we just want to, it's more of a safety thing than anything. It's
like
not
a
like,
Tudor
hey,
in Whitefish Bay.
I'm sorry, what?
Like a Tudor in Whitefish Bay.
Yeah, I have a Tudor as well. And you know, we'll get up on the eaves, but those, that steep pitch, we're not going to climb that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say there is a roof that, hey, you know, I can walk on it, but it's 100 degrees out there. And if I step on that asphalt shingle, now I'm damaging the shingles, you know, and seller's not going to be happy, and neither is the buyer. So it's a, well, how can I explain it? It's going to be different for each property, you know.
Okay, so on to the bracing question.
Yeah. Now, when there's bracing, I always like to ask, you know, is there a report? If there is, I like to just review it. Then I go and inspect the basement. Now with bracing, what things I'm looking for is further movement. Now on these bracings, there should be, on the back side of the brace against the wall, they should be tuck pointed. All the cracks should be tuck pointed. Now, if I see new moisture coming in, or hey, now that crack reappeared, it's telling me the wall is still moving. And when we go outside, I'm going to be able to, when we do our visual exterior inspection, I'm going to already know what I'm going to see most likely in the basement by just looking at the outside, you know, grading, downspouts, your gutters full, are they clean? Do we have your, you know, window well covers? So that pretty much all correlates together. Did that answer your question?
I think so, yeah.
Another question. Is there a difference in seller disclosure responsibilities between general maintenance of a home that addressed specific issues that were remedied, and 2, sellers had a pre-inspection 1 to 2 years ago prior to listing, and 3, pre-inspection 3 months prior to listing? No, they need to disclose everything and anything they know about the property. And guess what? You don't get involved in that. when we go to a listing appointment, literally, I will hand them the condition report and say, this is the one document that I cannot help you fill out. You need to, if you would call and ask me a question about something that, you know, you should or should not disclose, my answer is going to be disclose it. I love when they can fill out the condition report online, just because that is such a pain in the rear end to get back from a seller. We're always, you know, do you have your condition report? Because by the time you go on the market, you want that in your documents in MLS. So I kind of hand this off to them. It is the most litigious document of a transaction, is that condition report. Anything that goes wrong after closing on a home, the first thing they're going to do is pull out what was disclosed on that condition report. So it follows you, I believe, for 7 years as a seller. So disclose everything, everything, everything. As a buyer's agent, you would rather see things that are disclosed on a condition report with an explanation rather than have nothing disclosed, in my opinion. Someone has a couple questions about FHA. Elizabeth, what's your question?
Sorry, I had to unmute. So I have my first FHA approved buyer, and what I like to do when I go through a house, we like to look around outside to possibly explain if there is moisture, things like that, maintenance stuff. But other than chipping, peeling paint and like tripping hazards, are there other things that I need to keep in mind while we're going through these houses?
It's usually chipping, peeling paint, and is it handrails, Kelly?
Yeah, handrails and guardrails.
Okay.
Yep.
Other than that, is that really all that I need to worry about?
I think they're looking for more safety issues. Okay, if they see it, you know, like roof, if it's curling, you know, they see missing shingles, they're gonna call it out. Now, with my past experience, what one appraiser may call it out and the other not. You know, so you never know. And some of these guys are being so picky. I had to send a report because there was staining on a ceiling, and he's like, well, how do I know it's not the roof's not leaking? You know, and I put in the report, hey, it was dry at time of inspection, but the underwriter, because the appraiser mentioned that, I had to give more detail, which is fine, and that happens. So it all depends what, you know, what kind of, you know, that appraiser, what they're going to say. But I think just what we talked about, those are just the, you know, ones that you really want to watch out for.
Okay.
And basement issues as well. You know, if you see cracking or water down there, you know, things like that.
What about unusual size stairs, like a concrete step walking into a house? Because we almost wrote on one, and it did have a separate document about that, but it was, I mean, I'm worried that if we write, FHA is going to say no.
What's wrong with the stairs? I'm sorry.
It's the front step is not a normal size. It's
yeah. Boy, that's a hit or miss. They may say something or they may not. You know, yeah.
But are you assuming, Elizabeth, that the seller isn't going to fix that if that were an issue?
I'm not sure. She almost wrote on that one. We wrote on another one that was perfect, and they waived the inspection, so we didn't get it. So we could still go back. We have 3 more showings tonight. We also had 3 showings this morning. So it's been busy. She needs to close by the end of, well, beginning of September. So.
Wow. Any other questions for Kelly? I will post his contact information on this chat so everyone has it. And really appreciate it, Kelly, for popping in.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. And yeah, go sell some houses. Hey, actually, go list some more houses, please.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. It was very
Thank you,
informative.
Kelly.
All right,
Thank
thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
So home inspections is really about being a good problem solver, and it's becoming, in my opinion, even more and more difficult for these home inspections, because I think that from what I have been witnessing, there is this mad dash, get that accepted offer, and the buyer is in competition and they write this amazing offer to get it accepted over everyone else. And then when it then comes to the home inspection, their thoughts are, hey, I've overpaid for this house. I've paid too much money for it. You know, I won, but now I'm not so happy about it. So when it comes to the home inspection, I am gonna nail that seller. I don't know if you guys are seeing the same things that are writing transactions right now, but that's kind of what I'm experiencing. So even more important that when you're dealing with a buyer, especially a first-time home buyer, but I always go back to, if they haven't sold a house in 10 years, they're really a first-time home buyer. They have completely forgotten everything. I'll go over, especially at the home inspection. All right, Kelly or whoever it is, what are the top 5 concerns that we have about this property? You know, and I have them listed. You know, furnace needs to be checked by an HVAC. The roof needs to be inspected. I see some issues with the roof. That I see some water in the basement. I think you're going to need to, whatever that is, write those down. And those are the things that I am really super concerned about. Right? The electrical box, like he was saying, there's a lot of electrical issues coming in where buyers are doing their own little handy dandy electrical work. So it's your job as an agent to concentrate on those main issues and kind of go over that with that buyer, that these are the things that we need to get on right away. So as soon as you get that home inspection report, and there are some items that you need to address, then you need to call the listing agent and say, you know what, I need to get someone to come out and evaluate the furnace and get that going right away. It's not where you're calling everybody and their mother to come in and take a look at the house to get an estimate. No, if it's very clear cut as to what needs to happen, then you don't need to send somebody out. You basically stated in the home inspection amendment. You don't need to have all these people coming out to the house and look at it if it's very specific in the report of what needs to be done.
So Janine, are you saying that the sellers should bring out the contractors or the buyers?
You know, that is for me, that's a case by case. So for instance, I wrote on a home out in Mequon and the furnace needed to be serviced, inspected, repair any issues or replace. The listing, the sellers had a reputable company that had been servicing their furnaces. My buyers felt extremely comfortable with them. So they went out there, the sellers called their company, they inspected, serviced, and did a report and sent it over to us within 24 hours. And my buyers felt completely confident with that. Absolutely. So case by case. Yeah.
So the seller's paid for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to pay for a seller to have their furnace serviced and cleaned it. No, I'm writing that in the amendment. Yep. I am not going to be running. I am not going to run around for a day and get all of these people out there. When the seller, I can have written that up in the amendment and it's done.
Yes, so I've had a couple of newer agents say, well, I need to schedule this and this and this and this and this when they're working with the buyers. So keep in mind that they do not own that house yet. And you should put that back on the seller. It's the seller's responsibility to, you know, take care of these items. It's still their house, not the buyer's.
And what a great way to tick off a seller when you start imposing all of these people coming out to their house to take a look at things in their house. Absolutely not.
Yep.
You know, if it warrants to have a specialist come out, like have a foundation specialist, I'm usually going to be calling somebody that I trust and I can get out there right away.
Yep.
It's just your communication with the listing agent. And the listing agent may say, you know what, I would actually prefer to have so-and-so out. And then you guys come to an agreement of who's going to go out there. And I highly suggest at that point that both parties are there. Seller can be there. If there is a wall that's called out or an issue, then I want the seller there, I want the buyer there, and I want both agents there. So it isn't, you know, buyer's expert against the seller's expert. We're all on the same page. We've all heard the news.
Yep.
I had a listing, and this was a couple years ago, and there was an issue. There were some issues with the basement, and I went out there for the foundation inspection. It was me, the seller, the foundation person, the buyer, and no buyer's agent was there. And how uncomfortable was that buyer? Extremely uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure that you are going to be there. If you can't, find somebody that can go for you so they can be the eyes and ears for you. You don't want to leave your buyer there by themselves. And I know if you're showing houses to a lot of different people, it can become tricky, but
Yep.
You can always ask somebody to go on your behalf.
Correct. Hey, I had something happen with the deal I have going on. Let me bounce this off of you. You guys are all included in the conversation here. So I have a listing, and the buyer requested some things to be taken care of, one including replacing the hot water heater. Number two, 6 months ago, they had replaced the boiler and a couple other little things. And the buyer called me and he said, now I want to make sure that, you know, a permit is pulled to replace this hot water heater. And I said, replace the hot water heater? Well, yeah. And, you know, they replaced, and they need to replace the water softener also. He says, I want to make sure permits are pulled for all this. And I said, they're just replacing, they're not rerunning pipes and everything. Well, guess what? He called the Town of Oconomowoc inspector, and the inspector said, most definitely, anytime you do anything in the Town of Oconomowoc, you need to pull a permit.
Yeah.
Including replacing, not adding, but replacing hot water heaters, water softeners, which I had no idea.
Oh yeah, and guess what? Dishwashers.
And dishwashers. To replace a dishwasher, you are supposed to pull a permit.
Yep.
Now, just off the top of my head, I would say that 90% of people don't do that.
Yeah.
Myself included. But, you know, you really have to check and see. And I did not know this. And he actually forwarded me all 80 pages of what needs to be done with pulling permits in the Town of Oconomowoc.
Yeah.
So,
Sometimes
Connie, does that mean when you go to sell the house that you have to provide the permits and the disclosure then?
Yep.
If they request it in the amendment, yeah.
Sometimes it's a means of income generation. So different
For the
towns
town?
have different rules.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, and keep in mind, I got caught a couple of years ago because somebody Not My Cellars in West Dallas had updated or changed outlets in the garage. They did something to change the outlets in the garage in West Dallas. Because they changed an outlet, they needed a electrical permit in West Dallas.
Yeah, I had a real sticky situation just recently on, there wasn't a tag on the meter. The inspector said that some electrical work was done at my listing, and We Energies never came back and inspected the work because it had to do with the outside. And so I called my handy dandy electrician, and he went over there, and long story, it could have been a mess because We Energies had to go back in there and tag it. It could take a while. Just be on top of your home inspections, you guys. And when I have an agent that is asking all of these specialists and they want to bring their people in, I think that it could have been in some ways dealt with much better if they would have just put that in the amendment to have this, serviced and repair, replace as necessary.
Yep.
And there you have it. If they can't repair it, they're going to have to replace it.
Can we go through all these things? Like, what if you have a buyer, or a listing who didn't pull permits for some of these things that maybe that needed to? Let's say they added can lights or something like that. How do you?
Rarely is this going to come up, but they may need to go to the village or the city, and they may need to open up a permit and have the village come out and inspect it, and then give them a clean bill of health. Yeah.
And keep in mind, anything behind the walls, your inspector may have them reopen the walls up.
Yep.
To see that electrical work and the plumbing work to make sure that it was done to code.
Also on that condition report, it happens, but they also ask you on that condition report if permits were pulled.
Sure. So if it's disclosed that permits weren't pulled, do you just likely say the next buyer is going to be just fine, without permits? How many buyers are needing those permits to not?
That's a good question. So some come back and say permits to be provided. Some lenders may get a hold of that condition report. It might be a red flag that permits weren't pulled, and they may require it. So I guess get a permit.
Yeah.
I've had it come up a few times. I mean, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that haven't pulled permits, but only a few times. But pull a permit, you guys, when you do something on your house.
Yep.
Please.
Well, and some of the simple things, depending on the town or the village or the city that you're in. I mean, in some of these towns, anything but changing a light bulb, you need an electrical permit.
Yeah.
Anything but changing a light bulb. It's like, what?
And that home inspector is going to be pretty quick, and that's what Kelly was referring to. There's a lot of handy dandy electrical work done by the buyer or by the seller. So he'll call that out, and he may suggest to have an electrician come in and evaluate the electrical service. I see that a lot. Mm-hmm. Never much on hot water heaters or anything like that. It's usually not called out.
Yep.
I see it more electrical.
I do too.
Yep. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that people didn't pull permits for that we'll never know about.
Yeah.
So I think next week what I would like to do is go through a home inspection report together, mm-hmm. and then have an amendment drafted so you guys can look at, here was what this home inspection report looked like, and here is an example of an amendment from that home inspection report that we are going to submit to the listing agent and go through that process of how are we going to determine what's on the report, you know, and we can role play, Connie and I, with buyer and buyer's agent, and then we'll role play what that conversation is going to be between the buyer's agent and the listing agent as we're presenting this home inspection amendment. And then we're not going to come to terms on what we should agree upon on this amendment. So what does that look like? So we're going to go through that entire scenario. My homework for you is this: if you have not gone to a home inspection, let's say you're not there yet, you haven't had a transaction, I would like for you to post on the North Shore Facebook page that you would like to attend a home inspection for any of the agents that cannot go, or even if it's to shadow. I would like for you to go to a home inspection. Super important. And follow that home inspector around. You don't have to say anything. Bring a notebook. I learned so much my first 6 months of literally any home inspection that was going on our team, I would volunteer to go. And I took notes, and I got to know inspectors really well, who I liked and who I didn't like.
Yes.
Who worked well with buyers and who did not. And I want a relationship with a really good home inspector that I can call and say, hey, this was my listing, you weren't the inspector, you know, what do you think of that? I need someone that I can rely on. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is to go and shadow some inspectors.
Yes.
So if you haven't done it, I really want you to put that on the Facebook page today, because I want you to feel comfortable. Buyers can sense your uneasiness.
Mm-hmm.
You should feel confident going in there, and remember to try to keep your mouth shut as much as possible. It really hard. I think very hard to do, but I am like, shut
I
it.
mean, one of the best classes, that productivity classes that you did, and it was last fall, was that you handed everybody, and not saying that you need to this time, but you shared the home inspection ahead of time, and then we had to bring the amendment in, and then you went over it, and I learned so much from that exercise of trying to do it on my own first and not sure, and I did it and then realized, oh, I have to add this. But that was a key. I'll never forget that productivity class.
Yep. So we are going to do that. But the first step is, there's so many people that haven't even seen a report yet and they wouldn't even know. So next week is, here's the report. We're going to go through it. We'll do one together. We're going to role play it. The following week is going to be a new report, and then we're all going to be on it together.
Yep.
And we're going to go over what you think we should be writing on that home inspection amendment, because it's not easy. And when you get nervous and time's ticking, that's when mistakes are made. So I think that's the most nerve-wracking part of the whole transaction.
If you need a good home inspection to share with the class, I have one from a client that it was a great exercise. But
email it to me.
Okay, I'll get permission from the seller, but it was really good.
Yeah. And we can, what I've been doing, we'll black out. We won't have any exterior photos of the property, and we can eliminate the address. So it will be completely anonymous. They won't even know what address it is. Yeah, email that to me, and then I'll take all of the address part out, and then I'll scan it and I'll share it following week. Okay. Anything going on inspection wise, non-inspection wise, just new agent wise that you guys have questions about and you're too afraid to ask? Because here we are. Come on.
Really?
Somebody has a question?
Really?
I don't have a question, but it's my first one, first productivity training, my first weekend, so I'm excited to
Yay!
learn.
Welcome.
Thanks. And who was it that was talking?
Casey?
Oh, Casey. Oh, there you are, Casey. Well, welcome.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're gonna absolutely love it. I can tell you something that happened to me this week that was really not very fun. I had a seller who, you know what, I'm learning, but I can be kind of stupid too. I don't think was really motivated to sell, which is kind of, let's test the market and see what's gonna happen. So this particular seller said, I know I need a new roof. We bought this property 4 years ago and we've, fixed some of it, but I'm sure it needs a new roof. In fact, I have a quote. So I said, you should probably put the new roof on before we list it because it's going to come up in home inspection.
Yep.
They wanted to get that house on the market. And I said, make sure you have the quote in hand. And the price that we went out at was an aggressive price. And basically it would be in that price, it would include a new roof. So of course the home inspection came back and lo and behold, there was some minor foundation issues, a bunch of other stuff, and the roof needed to be completely torn off and replaced. And guess what? The seller said, I'm not doing the roof. And I said, what? Nope. We'll do the foundation repair. It was minimal. It was like under $3,000, but we're not going to put a roof on. So I went back to the buyer's agent and I said, they're not going to put a new roof on. And they went, are you kidding? It's defective. It's leaking. There's holes in the shingles. And I said, exactly. The seller wouldn't even come halfway. I mean, it was ridiculous.
She wouldn't drop the price either?
No. So I called the seller and I said, all right, we are going to, this deal isn't going to come together. So I'm going to send over a notice of defect because they gave the seller the right to cure, a cancellation and mutual release, which basically all parties agree that we are releasing the earnest money. And she said, okay. And I said, and along with that, I'm going to be sending over an expiration to the listing agreement. And she said, what do you mean? Are you kidding me? And I said, no, I am not going to put a house on the market that has a defective roof and you are unwilling to pay for it or take whatever that cost would be off the price of your house.
Yeah.
Okay. So really 2 weeks of total waste of time. So lesson learned. I shouldn't have taken that listing.
I had one a couple of months ago too. It went for 3 months and the seller wanted everything, every penny out of that house.
Yeah.
And it had so much wrong with it. He should have done $36,000 worth of work before I even listed it, which I didn't know because I'm not a structural person until he finally accepted an offer. Mind you, 3 months, you're going to love this one, Janine. 3 months, 75 showings and 7 offers.
Oh yeah, bye. Yeah, that's why I knew I'm cutting it. I'm cutting the cord right now. It is
dumb to keep it for 3 months. Just foolish on my part. But you want to help people and I just want to make this deal come together.
I want to help myself from not going crazy.
Yeah, that one made me just about an alcoholic, but
yeah,
there's that.
Annie.
I learned something this week. So I'm working with buyers who purchased in Glendale, not on the river, but across the street from the river. We were informed, we knew, because it was in the listing contract, that 6 inches of their property is in the flood zone. And so they had to buy special flood zone insurance. That $1,300 flood zone insurance has to be included.
A year, 13 a
Right.
year.
Right. So my buyers, as we're coming close, because we close on the 17th, they went to their insurance agent to get flood zone insurance, and it's $4,000. And
boy.
so what you have to do is that this is what I learned, and I want to make sure that you guys.
I love it.
So when land is deemed that it's in a flood zone and insurance has to happen, that there's a discounted rate, and it's allowed to be transferred from buyer to buyer to buyer, but you have to do a transfer. And so special paperwork had to be filled out, and that's what we did yesterday. But where I'm still confused is it automatically transfer to buyer to buyer to buyer, and that's what I'm figuring out today. But have you guys ever dealt with flood insurance?
Yes, I have. And you know what? You have to really be careful with that, because some buyers are disqualified from their loan because their payment goes up and they're not qualified for that new mortgage.
Right.
So,
well, and yes, today is finance deadline. And so that's why we have to find out.
Yeah.
I've also had an insurance agent say that if the property is on a floodplain, it's okay, as long as the house and the structure itself is not.
Ooh. Interesting.
So if you have a 10-acre parcel and 2 acres are in the flood zone, but the rest of it with the house is not, then you do not need flood insurance.
Interesting.
But check with all the individual agents. I am not an insurance agent.
Right.
It's just a fascinating.
That is fascinating to me.
So is the 6 inches of flood zone encroaching upon the dwellings?
This is where we're having issues because we cannot find maps that prove that.
I would pull up the GIS map.
I have, and it has the whole area.
So who says it's in a floodplain? Is this from years and years and years ago before they redid the floodplain?
Don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just asking. I have no idea.
No, I know. I've never dealt with flood plains.
Because they reset that floodplain line over the years.
Who would you call for that?
I think you would call the city of Glendale.
All right.
Or even go into the city. Well, I would call them.
In Waukesha, you'd call Waukesha Park and Planning.
Okay.
I don't know. Does Milwaukee have a park and planning? I would think so.
Yeah, but Glendale is very specific because it's right on the river. I would go right to the city of Glendale. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anyone else have any roadblocks, something that came up this week that's making you wonder? Nothing. Super competitive out there, you guys. I just listed something in Glendale. It's really interesting to see the offers that are coming through. Very interesting. If some of these are just a couple $1,000s apart, and if that other agent had written just $2,000 more, that buyer could have gotten it. So it's always a really good conversation to have with your buyer when writing an offer. If you really want this house and you found out that you lost it over a couple $1,000s, how are you going to feel?
Yep.
So let's sit down and really go over it, because we pretty much know that something's going to possibly go over asking, and you're going to find out through that listing agent. You're going to ask a ton of questions and then make your best decision. And most listing agents are not going to multiple counter. They're going to take that best offer and be done with it.
As a listing agent, how do you counsel the seller about the value of an inspection contingency and other contingencies versus the higher price?
Yeah, very good question. I think it's what their pain point is. So I had an offer on a property that had 7 offers, all way over asking. I think I told you guys this. and the one that they took was not necessarily the best offer. However, they waived financing and appraisal. And to him, he's like, taking that one because the other ones didn't, and I just don't honestly think it's going to appraise. Even though I thought it probably would, I couldn't guarantee him that.
Yeah.
So if that was his safety and he felt good with it, then he's the winner. He won. If somebody waives inspection, shoot, I'd go that route depending on the condition of the home and the age of the mechanicals. So I just put everything out on a spreadsheet or, whatever, and say, this is the pro of this one, this is the con. You're going to find out, where their comfort level is for sure. I got an accepted offer just a couple days ago on a property, and the listing agent told me everything. Told me how many people were going to write, told me what the seller was looking for, pretty much steered me into writing that offer to get it accepted.
Good.
It was a beautiful thing. Don't be that agent. But just keep asking questions until they don't answer you any longer. But I cannot tell you how important it is to have that conversation with the other side.
Yes.
I cannot believe getting offers on some of my listings, and I've had absolutely no conversation with that other agent. It's just dropped in my email. There's no question on, ideal closing date, nothing. It's just in the mailbox. What a waste. What a shame. Because they're not representing their buyers in the least.
I had an agent call me and say, I'm sending over an offer right now. And I had accepted, we had multiple offers, and we accepted it a half an hour before.
Yeah.
I said, you're too late. We accepted one a half an hour ago.
Right.
Oh, well, I wanted to submit one. Snooze, you lose.
So when you get an offer on a property, go into showing time and give them the notice of everyone that is shown that property and everyone that is going to show that property, and say, we have received an offer on this property.
Well, what was funny is the buyers came through the open house, said they were transferees or not, they were moving up here, and had an agent they were working with, and they couldn't remember her name, but she was with Shore West. So I had a new agent with me, and he connected with them right away. Like, this was almost like a match made in heaven. It was so, I'm like, okay, they're yours. You take them. You connected with them. Call them, because we have multiple offers coming in. So he called, he left a message, he emailed, left a message, nothing. And like I said, a half an hour after we accepted the offer, I got a message from a Coldwell Banker agent. She says, yeah, my people want to write. And I said, first of all, who are you? And you never came through the house. Who are your people?
Oh.
And I said, and who are your people? And she said, well, they came through the open house today. And I said, oh, Mr. and Mrs. Smith? And she says, well, yeah. I said, boy, it's funny because they told me they were with the Shore West agent. And she was Coldwell Banker. So there was no, and it's funny because they said that they lost out on a house 2 days before.
Oh.
They submitted an offer and lost out on a house. Well, now we know why. Because their agent is not on the ball. So if you have buyers who are ready to go, be on the ball.
Oh, and question, as an agent, do you have to see the property before you write an offer for your buyer?
Yes.
No, you do not. You need to see the property before it closes. Mm-hmm. You need to view the property, but you do not need to see the property before you write an offer. Mm-hmm. And that, believe it or not, it sounds absolutely ridiculous, but it's going to happen to you. It's going to happen. They're going to say, went through the open house, we love it, and you don't have time to get over there. You're going to write that offer. You're going to you pick up that phone, you're going to call the agent and say, my buyers came through the open house and we're writing the offer. You do not have to see it prior to writing that offer. It is ideal that you do, of course, but do you have to see it before writing that offer? No.
On my listing over the weekend, got 5 offers, and 4 of them just came into my mailbox without a conversation. It was only the offer that was with the Keller Williams agent that called me. The rest of them, no communication at all. It was shocking.
Yeah, my brother-in-law is a home inspector, and he said, I'm going to tell you something, Janine. Keller Williams agents are in a different class. They are first class. I have not met a Keller Williams agent that I was not impressed with. They're a different caliber of agent. They are trained. They're professional. And he said, I cannot say that about any other company as a whole. So I think that's a good pat on all of your backs. So your job is to, if you have not been to a home inspection, or even if it's only been to one, and you need to get at least 3 to 5 under your belt where you can just shadow, put it on Facebook. Some agents are so busy, they cannot go to these home inspections, you guys, and you would be such a help, and you're going to learn.
You'll learn a lot.
So much. Feeling confident about this aspect of the offer is extremely important. Extremely important. So next week, we will have a home inspection report, and we are going to role play that inspection report, and we are going to then draft an amendment. Connie and I will. And we're going to go over it together as a team. And the following week, we will give you that another home inspection report, and you guys are going to practice writing that amendment, and then we'll just kind of go over that the following week. Okay?
Sounds great. Have a great week, guys.
Have a great week, you guys.
Talk to you. Bye.
Thanks. Great call.
Bye.